A very good morning to all the professionals, future professionals for this empowering session. In our practice at Hiregange and Associates, now called H&A India, we have focused on building foundations wherever we built offices. We have done this in 14 places in India, and we have found it largely successful that in case we build the foundation properly, instead of focusing only on getting clients, the inflow of clients, the inflow of talent is automatic. I've also felt that most people do not understand this word empathy fully, while they may be following some practices which are in line with empathy. So let's understand what this term means. And then we'll look at some instances. You will introspect. You will look at general information on these quotes by great people. What are the advantages? And then how to build or improve empathy. The empathy is the ability to understand the wants and needs of others, the viewpoints of those around us. People who have built empathy are good at recognizing the feelings of others, even when those feelings may not be apparent or obvious. Therefore, such people are excellent at managing relations with different type of people. They are better at listening and they are able to relate to the challenges of others. These type of empathetic people normally avoid stereotyping that everybody is like this. Chartered accountants are boring. Juniors who come are only interested in exam. People do not want to develop themselves. These are all myths which are totally incorrect. In fact, a lot of studies have been made, and the youngsters today, 80 to 90%, are certainly looking at growth. And the people who have empathy, they live their lives in an open and honest manner, which is an advantage for them. This is the definition which I took from Mind Tools because I felt it covers quite a lot. Before we start on further or go further, you can look at what do you think is empathy. Look at examples in your own professional life where you have exhibited empathy or where you have fallen short. I'm going to wait for 30 seconds so that you think about this. Thank you for reflecting on yourself and your professional life. Let's look at what are the skills for extraordinary leaders and how it is connected to empathy. Coaching myself has been one of the biggest challenges in my life. The problem is that should I focus more time on client service or should I focus more time on myself? Should I do the job myself or should I train my team to do the job? We are here to provide service to the clients and therefore 70 to 80% of our time we have to spend in providing that service. Otherwise, we may not be able to survive itself. And we are looking at flourishing. Coaching, nobody likes to be coached actually, but it's a wonderful way of fast tracking our growth. More on that is available if you Google it. One more very important point is in our life, communication is very important. And when I communicate, the way I think, the way I speak, the beliefs I have are all very, very important. Communication can be one when I give instructions. Communication can be also one where I inspire or persuade somebody else of what I am saying. Aristotle, who was there 3,000 years back, one of the wiser people on the earth, he said, empathy is necessary to be built. It's not coming with our life normally. Let's look at one or two thought processes on this. You know, what is the timing of the inquiry and the response? Client asks a question, maybe by mail, maybe by call. How fast do I respond to that? Do I acknowledge it at least immediately? If I have not got his needs, do I try and understand his needs? And if I am replying to it, restate his need for clarity. When I quote, let me not be in a hurry. Let me give clear scope of what I think is required and also what I am not expected to do. Sometimes, even for the code or for the work, we may require additional documents and information to do the job. This is especially true in audits, opinions, even for litigation. So without the additional information being sought, let me not be in a hurry to give the time I will take. It's always good to deliver more than what the client asks and also in time or even before time. Many of us, we give the advice, we do an audit, but sometimes we do not follow up to see if whatever we have said for compliance or for value has been implemented. And in case it has not, look at the concerns the client has. Why has he not implemented it? Suggest ways and means to do it. There is where our service ends, not when we send the bill. When we are clarifying, say through a letter or a report, the opportunity to serve which we have got is inherent. We are here because of the client and we are here to exceed his expectation, delight the client. If I want to be empathetic to any client who comes to me for whichever job, I need to understand the business he's in, the industry he's in, the trade he's in. I should understand the common challenges that trade has. Then look at what are the problems or challenges faced by the client. When we look at any transaction, we should not restrict it to the client's transaction. Ideally, look at it a little back. Who is the vendor critical for providing that product or that service to the customer? That is our client. Also look at the customer of the client. Who is it that this client is providing the product or service? Understand what are the needs of that customer. This does not mean that we will have access to the vendor or the customer, but today is a day of information availability. I have found that you can ask any question, even specific to companies, and look at ChatGPT, Copilot, Bing, these type of generative AI, as they say, where you will get quite a good idea and quickly, within seconds, you got it. Therefore, empathy is that ability, the thought process of knowing that these are all required. And at the time of information collection, I spent a little time on being empathetic to my clients, vendors, and also his customers. And maybe I get to understand his business very well. Many of us think, at least I did for a long time, maybe 13, 14 years of practice, that I was quite empathetic. But if we were to understand where we actually stand, is there a need for me to improve empathy? Look at it from your own experience with dealing with clients. You'll be surprised that when the client does not keep his word to provide information or be ready, or he says, I will send it, you work on the opinion, in one day I will give you this document. He doesn't give it. Is this an indication that your empathy is not clear? Is it something where your empathy needs to improve? Maybe you're not given clarity exactly of what you want. Maybe it's very difficult for the client to give it in the short time you have asked. Sometimes we go for audits and after confirming that everything is ready, you would have sent them a checklist. They say, yes, sir, everything is ready. One few things are left, but please come. When we go, we find the things are not ready. The officer is very busy. He cannot spend time with you. Then why is he doing this? Is the question we should ask, not complain or blame the client. What is that about us which is not giving the client some confidence, or what I would say, trust in us? There is an extension given by government. This happens for especially for tax audits or GST audits when they were there, or even the present self-certification. In case there is an extension, client immediately stops the work and says, please come next month. When the client says that, we say, oh my God, they have again done this. What are we doing? We are blaming the client. We are not taking into account what is it that we can do to ensure that client doesn't do this. First thing is we could have done it well in advance. Maybe we have to convince the client that there is a need to do it in advance so that we can provide maximum value. We can ensure that there are no uh, surprises later. There could be many more. You could also note it down as you go along. When people are speaking, when my client staff is speaking, or when the client is speaking, or his manager is speaking, CFO is speaking, are we at the time rehearsing what we have to reply? When we make note as they speak, are we noting down what we have to reply, or we are noting down what they are trying to say? If we are noting what we are going to reply, then certainly there is a total lack of empathy. Even at that time, we have not got what he wants to say, and therefore our decision may be not the best. Do we interrupt the client? We have already dealt with these type of problems a number of times, and therefore we interrupt him by saying, I got it, I got it, I got it. Is this what you want? Client may say, no, no, that's not exactly what I want. Again, we allow him to talk, again we interrupt him. We are impatient, wanting to give him the solution and complete that particular job. If we are doing this, certainly we have a need to have more empathy. While we are on VC, while we are on calls, while we are in a physical meeting, do we take other calls? Somebody comes in and talks to us and we say 1 minute and then talk to that person and then only we continue the call. Or if we are in a video conference, a call comes and you pick up the phone and speak. Are people coming into the room when there is a meeting going on? Do we have notifications pinging us all the time and we just keep glancing at it? If we are doing this, certainly we are not being empathetic to that person. Client is saying something, but there are many things unsaid. His gestures, his tone, this may indicate that there are other needs of the client which need to be prompted and probed. This is something which if you're not catching the needs of the client, then it means you have less empathy. You may still be empathetic, but not have enough empathy. Are we blaming the client staff for lack of response, saying that I came that day, I have asked this 3 times, you're not giving it, then we escalate it to the higher level? I'm not saying escalation is not necessary. But before that, look at whether we have been responsible and accountable before blaming the client staff. Do our mails contain proper salutation? If the client is 60 or 70 years old, hey may not be the right one, or hi may not be the right one. That time possibly dear Shri so and so or dear Mr. so and so makes more sense. Understanding from where they come is very, very important, which you have to catch in the first call or the first mail. When I speak to people, I may be in a hurry, I may be stressed. Is there impatience in my tone? Very, very important, because everybody catches this. We think that only we catch it, but everybody catches if there is a impatience in our tone, if there is a dislike in our tone, if there is frustration in our tone. This is caught by others. When we are dealing with the staff, do we understand their challenges, his challenge, her challenge? They have a regular job. In addition to that, they are directed to give us some information, support, etc. One of the best ways to look at empathy is before somebody asks for something, am I able to preempt their needs? The conversation in such cases, I was just thinking of asking you to do this, but you've already done it. Thank you. If this sort of a answer is coming from the client, that means you are in the stage where you are preempting their needs. And it's not very difficult because it's not rocket science. After 20, 30, 50, 100 audits, 100 interactions, you already know what is the need of the client a little more. One more important aspect is that in today's world, maybe 20 years back, 30 years back, directing people from a position of authority was okay. My father would just tell me do this and I had to believe him, right or wrong. There was no argument. Nowadays, we encourage our juniors to challenge us, tell us that we are wrong, give feedback. Maybe we are right, but we ask them. Instead of directing and telling, we provide alternatives. For example, you know that this is the solution to the problem. Nothing wrong in looking at what are the possible alternatives question to the juniors. Then they'll give the alternatives. One of them will be right. Then discuss those alternatives and come to the right alternative. Now, the junior has learned this for life. Number one. Number two, he looks up to you because you are just not telling him something he already knows. If you tell him, it removes the pride he has in himself or she has in herself. If she's providing the answer and you say, I think you got it bang on. Wonderful. Please go ahead. Just imagine how much of a leg up, how much of a inspiration, how much of a motivation such a word will be. Are we being judgmental? We have got a lot of store of past with us. Can we, when we speak to people, can we keep ourselves a bit open? Do not decide before listening. The staff, whether our staff or the client staff, they may be having some gaps. Can we cover those gaps? Can we support that gaps? It's reality that the client staff may not be having that information. Can I help? Can I tell that staff that today, if you have time, I can spend 1 hour with you and clarify all the queries you have on this particular subject? Can you imagine what impact it has on the client? And in case it is some skill gap, you can also guide this skill. I think this is a skill which you are missing, may be missing. And they say, yes, yes, I think I missed that. And then you say, okay, this is the place where you can get some free information. This is a good motivator who you can speak to. Very, very important for quality and service is feedback. You're seeing that we ask sometimes feedback only which is going to be positive. Are we asking feedback to improve our service? Then the question should be specific, not just rate my service from here to here. In fact, if even in that rating, if the rating is 3 or below, a question should pop up saying, where do you think we can improve? Get granular when you take feedback, because feedback is one of the best ways to improve ourselves and reach our goals. This is the older information which I have on what is the empathy ranking out of 170 people, companies. LinkedIn is there, Facebook is there, Alphabet is there, Microsoft is there, Nike, Audi. These are all companies outside India. Then you have ITC in India, Infosys, Tata Motors. So this ranking is given based on how the company listens and responds to the customer needs. It clearly quickly resolves or preempts their need, as we talked earlier. They also have a very good, empowered, open staff who wants to help you. This type of a culture which they have impacts the valuation of the company. You know, today, Google, Nvidia, these are companies whose share valuation is above the GDP of hundreds of countries in the world. Countries, not state. The value of this company is more than the value of that country itself. Amazing. And the best part is they are able to attract the best of the talent and retain them. Now that we've got some understanding, look at the advantages which you can get in case you follow best ethical practices. Look at from the time you get the inquiry by way of a phone call separately, by way of a mail separately, or somebody visits the office. How are you indicating or making clear the high level of empathy you have? And then end of the assignment also. Are we thanking the people who have supported us? They might have delayed a bit, but are we thanking them for at least providing the information? They might have done some amazing things. One or two may be really proactive. Can we note and give them a small pat on record or off record? Reflect and note. This is very important because this is a self sensitization matter. And you will find that in case you keep doing this, your empathy keeps on rising. How to improve it? Of course, we are going to look at. Other than whatever you have thought, or along with what you have thought, the most important advantage, if I'm empathetic, is client cooperates with us, saving us time. We sell as professionals, we sell only time. The client may refer us to others because he has such a wonderful, delightful time in taking service from us. He may have other areas where he wishes to get work done which are concerns for him or her. And then he offers that work also to us. So out of his total budget for professional fees, maybe we get a small part more. Very, very important the way we talk to people. If we value the people around us with whom we interact, they will also value us. Automatic. What you do, you shall receive. What you sow, so shall you reap. I think in every language in India, we have a, what I would say is a saying. Empathy is not only for clients, it's only also to our team, our juniors. And in case we are empathetic, they can be more effective. We ourselves could become extraordinary professionals in our own right, or we could take the firm to a greater heights. Bigger thought process is we are all part of profession. I am a part of the chartered accountant's profession. By doing what I do and by being empathetic, can I increase the credibility of the profession? Let me tell you, 100%. And when I am empathetic, my staff are empathetic, my partners are empathetic, our team is empathetic. More and more people start getting the idea. And when many of us are empathetic and think about the other person before looking at ourselves, become less selfish, our contribution to the nation is wonderful. Never underestimate the fact that by being empathetic to your junior, you are helping the nation. 100% you are. Believe it. What are the quotes on this? Oprah Winfrey, very famous person on the TV, says that leadership is about empathy. She again highlights that it's the ability to relate to and connect with people. Not just like that, for the purpose of inspiring and empowering their lives by making a difference, by supporting them. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientists, says empathy is patiently and sincerely seeing the world through the other person's eyes. And he says, this is not learnt in school, nor you can learn it from this video. It is cultivated over a lifetime. John Connolly, a wonderful inspirator, motivator. The nature of humanity, its essence, is to feel others' pain as one own. And the last part is very, very important. And to add to take that pain away, it's called compassionate empathy. How can we improve? If we already have empathy, how can we improve? If we think we are a little less, how can we inculcate it, imbibe it into our life? Have regular direct interactions with people in your organization, people with who make you happy, friends maybe, parents. Sometimes I find we have empathy for the world, but we don't have empathy at home. When you are in the workplace, empathy is not about how to do the work and supporting them to learn how to do the work, which is a small component. It is more about what are the challenges they are facing. Imagine their challenges, limitations, priorities. I have an article who is studying for CA. We get them for 2 years now. While they are working for you, are you seeing that they are also preparing for their final exam? What all you are doing to see that they can get through their exams better? Is their English good? Is their handwriting good? Can you make them look at these long term improvements, which will be helpful for them to get through their exams and also get a premium when they go for a job? We have said this earlier. Identify concerns, preempt their need, and look at what is it that you can do to support or guide. If I am caring and trustworthy, automatically my juniors also would start being caring and trustworthy. We have talked about different perspectives, alternative solutions, rather than telling them earlier also. Judgment sometimes includes putting our baggage on hold. I have been interacting with this person who has not been very responsible for the past. But if I start from the thought process that this person is not a responsible person, then that person has no hope. But if I'm able to drop the past baggage and look at things openly, maybe I can see that there is a huge improvement actually. And then nurture that improvement so that that person does the job well and also becomes a worthwhile contributing human being. Even the client staff skill and knowledge can be made good. In fact, when we used to do audits earlier, I think even now, we offer to the client pro bono without any extra fee, a half day or a 1 day knowledge and skill improvement. Maybe 5 staff will join, maybe 100. When I have done this in one of the companies, I was surprised that I said tomorrow, I told the managing director, in fact, I am going to do this particular talk, which was that time in GST. GST was a bit new. And they called me 3, 4 times saying, will you cover this? Will you cover that? I was thinking, why are they calling me so many times? After all, 5, 10 people will be there. But I was surprised. There were almost 80% of the entire team of sales, purchase, of course, accounts, and the top management. 80% of them were in the hall. There were 200 odd people. I was shocked to see that many people coming. And this was just a casual offer after discussing the audit report, GST audit report at that time. When we interact with people, can we validate their emotions and feelings? There is no wrong emotion, there is no wrong feeling. Even if they are complaining against us, blaming us, validate that emotion and take responsibility. You will be shocked with the result. Shocked, really. It's called the power of vulnerability. Feedback we had talked earlier, but take it with the objective of improving the service rather than looking at getting positive response. We should see that we don't go to take feedback only from very happy clients. Taking feedback from an unhappy client or average client may be much more useful to my objective of improving. Remember that I am here because of the client. It's not, client is not there because of me. Gandhiji said this. They provide us the opportunity of serving them and growing ourselves. In fact, let me take one extreme example. In our office, we have been following a contribution, you can say, for education of 2% of our top line every year. But when we go to any of the schools which we have identified and we are asked to speak to the children, the first thing I tell them is, I thank you for the opportunity of making a difference in your life. They may be from slums, but are they not providing us the opportunity of having pride in the fact that we have made 5 people in that school, 20 people in that school stand on their own legs and move out of the slum, take their families out of the slum. So if we provide some service like that, CSR as we call, it is not really charity. It is something which ensures that there was a call from my mother. It ensures that we grow They have allowed us to support them. Their problem should become our problem after I interact with them, whether it is a client or my staff. If it is in profession, then independence and professionalism should not be compromised. I should not go to their houses. I should not go for their marriages. I need not go for the opening of their new house. These are things which you can need not do at all. I have not done it in my life. And my relationship with my clients is always of great amount of mutual respect. We are all lucky that we became successful after making hundreds of mistakes. So why not share the mistakes we have made, like I did today? I made so many mistakes in life, but I learned from some of them. There are people who learn with every mistake. I take a little time. I make mistakes many times and then I learn. And of course, sharing I am doing quite regularly on the LinkedIn, on Facebook, in my professional community, in my office. This is something which I keep telling people because sharing, not telling, and they can get their own, they will have some similar experience. They can understand it much better. Why not involve juniors in decision making? Today, with AI coming, we have had at least 10 to 20 bots. A bot is possibly in our office, it is a Excel program only, maybe using macros, which some of the articles and juniors have learned. You'll be surprised. We have had at least 10 Excels which have been created by our own staff, juniors, and they save so much of time. For example, I can think of two bots which were done in the GST for the GST thing, where we used to earlier take 2.5 days, now it takes 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and it's more accurate because it's a bot. Computers don't make a mistake unless the program is wrong. So take inputs from them, you will be surprised at what all amount of value you can get from them. Somehow in India, we are not thanking people enough. And especially in professional setup, credit is very important. It should not happen that the manager, you know, takes all the credit for a good job. In fact, they should look at and see who all have supported them and ensured that the credit comes to them by a job well done, and give everybody, maybe in writing also, through mail. In case things do not work out, that's the time when you should come up and show you a great amount of empathy. Take responsibility because I did not direct them properly. I did not communicate properly. I did not monitor them properly. I was too busy. Just look at all the last few terms I used. These are things to see that we bring velocity into our own office. Look at emails. When I send an email, it should not be bland. An email should ask for a response. For example, if it is collection of information, how do I ensure that that information is acted on and it is provided? So I say that, okay, I am coming for this audit or for this opinion, I require the following. And at the end of it, I say, this information which you provide is important for accuracy, and also I can then give a much better opinion thanks to you. Now, this is a communication which calls them to action. Even at the time of an inquiry, when I'm asking the client what exactly they want, I can thank them for the opportunity given. While doing the work and after I finish the work, can I ensure that my mails have thanks for the support which they have provided? Whenever I communicate, can I take effort to see if that is clear and specific? When we look at emails, remember all my emails should be more or less clear. Consistently, I should have in the background that I am going to add value and delight the clients. If this is there in the background that this is my objective when I send an email, maybe our emails will be much more empathetic. With this, I hope that I have shared a few ideas to you. Those of which you think are worth it, please do implement them. Remember one golden rule. Gyan ideas are not worth it or are useless unless they are implemented. I really hope and wish that you implement those aspects of empathy which you have learned today in your daily life with your parents, with your friends, and of course, as far as this PPT is concerned, it was for enhancing them in your professional life. I've also made a small article on it, and you can click on this link to read that article. At this point of time, before closing, I would like to acknowledge the effort of Vignesh of Hiregange Academy, who has actually, you can say, supported me in finalizing the article edits and also in this PPT. Thanks, Vignesh, and all the best to everybody.